Thank you for tuning in to this transformational presentation provided by Carleen Millwood International and CarleenMillwood.com. We empower you to tap into your leadership potential and soar to new levels of greatness. We hope you'll be inspired to step into the change you need. It's your time to win. Now listen and be inspired. One of the things that I've noticed is that I come across a lot of people who have always thought of going into entrepreneurship, but has held back for a number of different reasons. One of the biggest reasons that they hold back is because they don't know where to start. They don't even know how to use the idea that they have. And they're terrific ideas. Many of them that I've heard in my conversations with people are great ideas, but they just have no idea what to do with it or how to go about even starting a business or a side hustle. If you don't want to jump fully into the entrepreneurial ring, you can do something on the side while you continue to do what you're doing. Now, what if you want to take the big leap of faith and step into entrepreneurship and you still need some help in knowing where and how to get started? That's what I want to talk to you a little bit about today, taking the leap into entrepreneurship. And I'm going to start sharing my screen with you right now. And hopefully you'll find the information that I'm sharing to be valuable to you, and it will give you a kickstart in the right direction, okay? That's my hope for today. So I'm just going to put my screen up here and we're going to go from there. Excellent. So we're talking today about taking the leap, and what's on the agenda for this conversation is you have a great idea, and we're going to talk to you about how to evaluate your idea, how to evaluate the market to see if your idea is good, different type of research tools that you can use to figure out your idea, if it's good, if it's a good opportunity, or if it's just an idea. If it's a good opportunity and you want to take it forward, what's your strategy? Help talk to you about the business plan and some key decision points, one of the main ones being funding. So let's jump right into it, because I am just excited to be bringing you this information today. I've been thinking about doing this for a long time. And as a matter of fact, I had a workshop prepared to do pre-COVID. And because of the situation, I was doing it at a location, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to hold off. One of the reasons I wanted to hold off is the original presentation that I want to do, which included some of what I'm going to share with you here today. It's very interactive, and the way I have it designed is for people to work in groups on different things. So I had to put that off, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to be patient, and I'm going to wait until we're post-COVID, and I can have people in a different, location again, or in one location again, and I can break them out into groups and get the full benefit and advantage of how I want to run the course. But for today, I have extrapolated some of the ideas from that course, tagged in some new ones, which I hope that is going to just help you start thinking about your idea a little bit more, and just do some preliminary research in preparation for that course that I have coming up. All right. So today, I just want to say, there could be any number of reasons why people are afraid to jump in. They just don't know where to start, like I said before. And that's a common reason, but that shouldn't be a stopping factor. If you don't know what to do, then ask someone who you think can help you. Always ask questions. You would be surprised how many people are waiting out there just to help you by providing the information you need. Lots of people are out there just waiting for people to serve. Okay, now who are the business owners that you know and trust? Somebody that you know who've already started a business, and they're doing well, and you want to know how they do it, and is it also along the lines of what you want to do? And maybe they can even provide more information, because you both are so closely aligned. So think about who you know that's running a business right now, and see if you can connect with them and ask them to help you get started. Do you, what's the other thing? If you don't know anyone, find a business or entrepreneurship coach or mentor. Coaches and mentors are valuable assets nowadays. I believe that doesn't matter where you are in your life, what you're doing, there is always going to be a need for a mentor at some point in your life. I cannot stress that enough. I know the benefit that mentors have brought to my own life, and I have a spiritual mentor right now. I have a business mentor right now. And so I could not have gotten to where I am right now without both of them. And I truly value the information that they provide to me. So if you don't know an entrepreneur that you can talk to and ask the questions of, if you don't know a business owner that you can connect with, then find yourself a business coach or an entrepreneurship coach or mentor. Invest in yourself. It will pay off in the long run. I can testify to that. I can vouch to that. And if you do want one, you can always connect with me at www.carlenemillwood.com, book some time with me, and we can go over what your idea is, all right? So do what you have to do, but I would say that inactivity and procrastination shouldn't be your only options right now. You shouldn't be, and the only reason why you're procrastinating and you're not doing anything about it is probably because you don't know what to do. So follow the instructions that I gave above, or the suggestions that I gave above, and see if that won't help to push you forward a little bit. Now, I met numerous people in the corporate world also who had ideas to create something that they saw a need for. Many of them still haven't acted on that idea. And as long as you're not acting on your own dream, then what's happening is that you're continuing to build someone else's dream, right? Is that the way you see your life playing out? Continuing to build someone else's dream while your dreams are falling off to the side and dying. Now, the idea that you have, it could be the very thing that you came to do for the human race, because each and every single one of us came into this world with a purpose. There is something for us to do here. Have you figured out what it is that you are supposed to do? That idea that you have tugging at you, that's nagging at you on the inside, could be the thing that you're put here to do. And it's nudging you to say, hey, it's time for us to start working on this thing, because people are out there waiting on you. And the more you sit on it, you are depriving people of what you have to offer. So that thing that's tugging at you could be your purpose, your calling, whatever you want to call it, and it's telling you that it's time to make a destiny decision, right? So release what you came into the earth packaged with to deliver to humanity. That's it. Every single one of us came packaged to deliver something to humanity, to push humanity forward, to help humanity to progress. Now, how long will you wait to get started? That's my big question to you. And another question I love to ask the people who I talk to who has the ideas and they're procrastinating is, okay, so when is a good time to start? Okay, because they're all go, yes, I know that I have to do it, but I don't want to do it right now. I'm going to wait a few years until I do X, Y, Z. And you know what? Tomorrow isn't promised to you. So how do you know you're going to be around in a few years? What if now is the time because you're not going to be around in a few years? And then if you do nothing about it, you die with your legacy inside of you. Someone says the graveyard is the richest place on the planet because so many people die with their ideas, their books, their songs, their, you know, what they came into the earth to deliver. They died with it, having done nothing with it at all. So the graveyard is the richest place on earth, but don't fall among that statistic. There is never a good time to start. So what I say to you is that you just have to jump. Take the leap of faith and just do it. Okay, instead of thinking that you're going to fail, which is another reason why so many people hesitate to get started on something, the fear of failure. But what if you're not failing? What if you aren't going to fail at all? Instead of thinking that you're going to fail, why don't you see yourself winning? You can't produce it until you can see it. But if failure is all that you're seeing, then failure is all that you will produce. There is untapped strength, there is untapped willpower, there is untapped knowledge within you. It's just waiting for you to let it loose. But first, you have to free yourself from the chains of fear and mediocrity. Yes, I'm not telling you, I'm not calling you names, but if you continue to, just languish where you are languishing in mediocrity, because that's where the majority of the 80% of the population is, at the same level, because everyone is thinking at the same level, and it's only 8% of the population. So, sorry, it's not 80%, it's actually 92% of the population is in the one spot, and only 8% of people on this planet are willing to push outside of the ordinary and take some extraordinary steps to do something different. So do you want to remain among the 92, or are you going to try to push into that 8% and actually expand it to, let's say, 10%? Because you know what? There are too many people on the planet for it to be only 8%. What are you doing with what you have, right? Let it loose, free yourself from the chains of fear and mediocrity, and make the bold decision to push out of your comfort zone and reach into the unknown. The journey of 1,000 steps begins with one. I've seen that somewhere, and I can't tell you now exactly who said it, but it just comes to mind. And so I'm just throwing it out there. The journey of 1,000 steps begins with the first one. So I'm encouraging you today, take that first step to do what you need to do. So what's your big idea? And how do you know if it's a viable opportunity? Let's talk about demand, because that's what will determine whether it's a good product or not. Is there a demand for it? Does the market need it? The first question that you should ask yourself is that I just said. Is there a need for this right now? Then you begin to do some research to find out what's out there in relation to what you want to do. Is anyone else doing it? If so, is it exactly like what you had in mind? And if it's exactly like what you have in mind, that's not a showstopper at all. Is it possible for you to collaborate with the people who are already doing it, right? And if you can't collaborate, can you still do it and corner the market in your location where you're living? How can you make yours unique if you don't have the room to collaborate? What can you do to tweak yours to make it unique, and set it apart from the rest? If it isn't, then you may have found, if there's no one else doing what you're doing, then I guarantee you that you found a niche for your idea. And that's even more reason for you to act on it, because if no one else is doing it, you've cornered your own market already. There is a niche. All right, but let's not jump so far ahead. Let's talk. So take the notes from your research, because you're going to be doing some research to figure out whether or not this thing that you're thinking about, if it's already been done, who's doing it, can we collaborate? So that's all research, right? Take the notes from your research and use that to create a business plan for yourself. From there, figure out your value proposition. Now that's the statement that you're going to use to differentiate yourself from everybody else, right? What needs are you meeting, and how are you doing it in a unique way that sets you apart from the rest of the market? Next step, who are your competitors? What are they doing well, and what are they not doing well? How do you position yourself in the market in relation to them? Then you're going to want to know, who are your customers? What demographic will you serve? That's a very, very important question. When you know that, then you will know how to market to them. But if you're not sure, then you're just going to be throwing stuff out there hoping that something sticks. Now, we're not doing Teflon here. We want to be hitting the target, coming right out of the gate. And I know that it doesn't always work that way. A lot of it is trial and error, and you may have to do trial and error in order to figure things out. Many of us do it. I have done it so many times in my own business, because I start off with one idea and then I realize, you know what, the market is shifting. So I'm going to have to shift along with the market. And then I have a better idea. So I'm putting that aside. And so you're going to have to continually be strategizing as you go along. So it's not, you're not probably not going to find one thing and then work that one thing all the way through until your exit strategy. So just bear that in mind, okay? So when you start thinking about who your customers are, I want you to not only think locally, I want you to think globally, because there is no way that we can do business nowadays without thinking of the global community. That's the way the world is working. And especially with so many companies having to put their products online, having to digitize and go e-commerce as a result of the pandemic, it's even more important for you to think globally when you're thinking of creating a product or a service, right? Online marketing and B2B commerce is the state of play in business now. And if you are not at least investigating these routes, you may well get left behind. So what are the current trends in the market that you want to serve? That's important for you to know. Now, I hope you're taking notes, and I hope you're writing down all of these things that I'm talking about right here, right? What are the current trends in the market that you want to serve? What are your customers' spending habits? Do a thorough search of consumer behavior in relation to your product or your service, and then you'll know what to do. When I started out my business, there is a particular demographic that I wanted to serve. I found out pretty quickly that there were just too many cooks in that kitchen. And so I shifted. And then I shifted, and I realized that as I shifted, there were people following me and shifting over there too. And I go, this is not a good thing. And so I have shifted again. I am doing something different right now, and I haven't really put it out there because at the same time, you know, I want to see how things are working for myself before I really throw it out there for everyone to jump all over it. So you also have to be cognizant of your competition, and that they're watching what you're doing. And as soon as you put it out there, and if it's a great idea, they're going to jump on it. Don't get mad if they're jumping on your idea. People only jump on great ideas. So if they're jumping on it, it means you had a great idea. Think about what's a wonderful brand out there. Okay, let's say, let's choose a run-of-the-mill brand that I like, Kerry lotion, for example. And Kerry has a great lotion. And then if you look on the shelf, you see Equate with a similar product. I particularly don't like Equate products because I noticed that Equate copies everyone else. So if I'm going to go for the body lotion, I'm going for the Kerry. I'm going for, you know, the one that was there before. I'm not going for the copy, I'm going for the original. But you have to be aware that this happens in the market. And if you have a great product or a great idea, people are going to jump all over it as well. So you still have to make sure that your product is strong enough to stand up when the competition is jumping all over stuff, right? Like I said, don't get mad. People only imitate great ideas. It's a compliment to you. So take it as a compliment and continue doing what you're doing. Keep producing, keep building, right? So another way that you can figure things out for yourself is to get feedback from your friends and family. What do they think of your idea? Have you ever even asked anyone in your family what they think of the idea? I know sometimes family and close friends are not the best place to start, because some of them will actually try to dissuade you from taking that step, right? But try it anyway. If somebody speaks against it, that doesn't mean you're supposed to stop. If somebody tries to discourage you, doesn't mean you're to stop. Just find somebody else to talk to, all right? Remember I mentioned other businesses, other entrepreneurs, and if you can't find them, get a coach or a mentor. So you always have options. So family and friends, if they discourage you, it's not the end of the world. Just keep going forward. What about, you could also send out surveys. Send out some surveys to a group of people who you think would be interested in your product. See what they have to say. What kind of feedback would they give you on the product or the service that you're offering, right? And you can also do some preliminary workshops or offerings and hear what people have to say about the product as well. It's always good to test the market before you jump right in and just start putting things out there. That's always a good practice. So what's the business environment like? What's the business environment like concerning your product or service? This is where you're going to have to do what's called a SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You're going to have to analyze those. You have to analyze the environment for those and see how your business will stack up on that, right? It will give you a good starting point to say, all right, this is what I have to deal with. And it's great to have, especially while you're creating your business plan, right? So do a SWOT analysis. Use it to plot out the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the environment that you're entering. And if you do it well, you may be on your way to something very fulfilling and life challenging, which I hope is what this will be for you. Okay? So think about your idea, write it down, take all the notes that I'm giving you here today. I believe there's some fantastic, some fantastic information. As a matter of fact, this is information that I use to start anything that I'm doing. And so I'm sharing that information with you today for free. Let me add that. Okay. All right. So one of the most important things to know before starting is your market size. How big or small is the market you want to serve? If it's too small, you may not be able to make your business profitable. And if it's too large, you'll have to figure out how to tailor your products and services to remain viable. Now, what percentage, that's the question, what percentage or how am I putting it? What percentage of that market can you effectively compete in? That's the question, right? What percentage of that market can you effectively compete in? And market size helps you to understand market trends and market demands. I think I mentioned before business trends, so now we're talking about market trends, right? What are the market trends out there? What is the demand out there? What is your market size? Companies that fail to address market size and demand don't usually do very well in the long term. Some examples of these companies are, and I'm sure you're going to be familiar with some of these names. Kodak, remember that company? Great camera company from, from the last 20, 30 years ago. And Kodak failed because they failed to step into the era of digital cameras. So you don't find much of their products out there anymore. Nokia, cell phone company, is another one. Nokia failed because Apple came on the scene. What was Apple doing that Nokia wasn't doing? Xerox, the photocopier company, it failed to go digital and instead got stuck with making photocopiers. Okay, so what is it? Blockbuster, remember Blockbuster? Blockbuster failed to Netflix. And why? It's because Netflix had a product. Netflix was offering their product in a digitized format, and Blockbuster failed to do the same thing. As a matter of fact, I believe Netflix actually made an offer to Blockbuster, which they turned down, and wanting to continuing to go their way. And there are no more Blockbusters right now, but everybody has Netflix at home. So what are some other ones? Yahoo missed out on buying Facebook and Google. They had the opportunity to purchase both Facebook and Google, and they didn't. Now Yahoo is obsolete. BlackBerry, remember BlackBerry came out and they were so popular a few years ago with the smartphone technology. And they failed to adapt their technology and now their phones are no longer on the market. Look at that. BlackBerry was the most popular thing. You wouldn't go anywhere without seeing someone scrolling on their BlackBerry and, rolling that little ball around and looking so cool as ever before. And now there are no more BlackBerries on the market. I saw someone using a BlackBerry product recently and I was so surprised. And, but I think she said a family member of hers worked for BlackBerry still. And so they're still using, their products, but you don't really find that too often. Now, there are so many other businesses that fail to pay attention to market research and to, act in alignment with the shifts that's happening in their markets, and now they're obsolete. So you have to pay attention to that when you're building your business. What are the market trends? How is the market trending? And how can you mirror what the market is doing in your business to continue to stay functional and valuable? Companies that survive are those who are willing to unlearn what they knew, willing to adapt and relearn to adapt to market demands and trends. So you have to be in a constant state of unlearning, relearning, unlearning, relearning, unlearning, relearning, and adapting, right? So adapting and applying, and otherwise you're going to go the way of the dinosaurs. Now, oversaturation. Now, that's a big word, oversaturation. A lot of people talk about oversaturation of the market. And sometimes I'm not sure that there is an oversaturation, as it is that maybe people are just not able to tap into the market that they need as well as they could or should. Now that's my personal opinion. It's not the law, and so don't quote me on that. It's just my thought. Oversaturation of the market can lead to an inability to grow and become profitable. The more saturated the market is, the more you spend in advertising to differentiate your brand from the rest. Again, we're talking about value proposition here. So if your market is oversaturated, you're going to be spending a ton of money on marketing, trying always to be tweaking that value proposition to make sure that you are separate and apart, and you're not lost in the clutter of the common, as one of my coaches like to say. So saturation means less demand for the product or the service. There are no new customers coming, and no new customers mean no revenue, which means no money for you to reinvest in your business, which will eventually lead to closure. So these are very important tips that I'm giving you today to help you kickstart kick your idea into gear, and to help you move forward, at least into doing some research to see how good of an idea you have, whether it's just an idea or is it a great opportunity. So other things that you need to think about is this: what are the other barriers to entering your market segment? We talked about competition, the intensity of the competition, your bargaining power of both buyers and suppliers, a threat of substitutes. We talked about that before, the Kerry and the Equate example. Cost requirements to manufacture and bring the product to market, and bring differentiation and brand differentiation. That's all we've been talking about. Government policies also could become an obstacle to you as we think globally. So what's acceptable in your location may not be acceptable in Australia or in Africa. So you have to also check out the government policies on import and export, and especially on the product or the service that you're planning to offer. Now, all of these feed into the intensity of the competition between your brand and the competitions, and can end in legal battles. So you have to really do your research and really, really be careful of how you're positioning yourself in the market. Market evaluation helps you to carefully think about your placement or position in the market in respect to your competitors, right? So that's why you have to evaluate the market, which is the title of the slide. Now, with these factors in mind, you carefully think about your startup costs. How much do you think that will be, right? And you'll have a better idea of that once you've done the research. You have your SWOT analysis in hand. How much do you think it's going to cost you to start up? Some companies can start up with very little money. There is a thing called bootstrapping. You literally start up with just your savings or no money at all, and you just figure your way out, and you continue to, whatever money you get, you just keep putting it back and you grow that way. It's a great way too, or you can get loans and all of that, but we'll talk about funding later on. So right now, how will you source your startup costs? How much will you invest or borrow to get the business off the ground? And what are the strategies that you will use to grow it profitably? What are your year-to-year projections, and what are your plans to realize them? Now, all of these questions are questions you should be asking yourself, and the answers to these questions are what you're going to be putting into your business plan, right? Entrepreneurship is a marathon. This is one thing I want you to understand. So it's not a 100-meter sprint. So you don't start off and within a few seconds you're at the finish line like Usain Bolt. It's more of a distance running situation that could take, several years. And I think some people really have the wrong idea of entrepreneurship. So they start off and they believe that within 6 months, they should be making $1 million already. For some people, it happens. God bless them. For some people, it doesn't. And it takes a while to build, because especially if you're starting to build something from scratch. It's not something that you're saying that you've bought a franchise and you're continuing to use their system to you don't have to develop any products from scratch. You're just using a system that already exists. Surely it will be much easier for you to get started out of the gate that way. But if you're building from scratch, it will take you a little bit longer. All right. It's not a marathon. Sorry, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So you have to have a long-term mindset to keep going when the progress seems slow. I will tell you, that is one of my biggest challenges, when I started building my business, because I'm a person like, I'm doing it today. I'm like, go, 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 go. And I'm going, 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 and I'm not seeing the results coming as fast as I would like. And sometimes, I won't lie, it became a little bit discouraging. But as I continue to press through, as I continue to push through, I begin to see things turning around. Things are changing. And so that gave me a little boost in my spirit. And I said, all right, I'm seeing things working now. And I take that energy and I put back into it and I keep pushing forward. And until I'm here at this point today, which is fantastic. So I just want you to know that there will be days when you'll feel like quitting and giving up, but don't. That's what I can say. You will see the payoff in the long term, right? So you always have to have a long-term mindset. Um, Keep in mind that when you plant a seed, this is what we're talking about, long-term mindset here. Just, want to use an analogy for you. When you plant a seed, you don't immediately reap the harvest of the seed. If you plant peas outside in your backyard today, you're not going to get it within 5 minutes or the next day. It goes through a process of growth before you actually are able to pick some peas off of that, off of that tree. So your responsibility, though, is to keep watering what you've planted and tending the soil to keep the environment healthy for a viable crop. And it's the same thing with your business. The idea is the seed that you have, and as you start to act on it, that's like planting it. And the more what's the word I'm looking for? The more momentum you put into what you're doing, that's the watering of it. And then eventually, guess what? One day you'll just wake up and there's going to be a harvest. You're going to see something different. You're actually going to see some returns coming to you on your investment, right? Some days you will feel like giving up. There are times when it will seem like you've put in so much into the business, expended so much energy, but the return is small or non-existent. I mean, it happens. I have gone through it, I have felt it, and those are some of the toughest times. And that's when you're going to feel like packing it in and walking away. And this is where a lot of people fail with entrepreneurship. They feel they're putting in a lot and they don't feel like anything is happening. And so they think they have failed and they walk away, but they've done it too quickly, because things don't happen overnight, like I said before, and it takes a little time. So give yourself the time. Just because it's not working in year 1 and year 2 doesn't mean that it's not going to work in year 3. Give yourself time. Things didn't start picking up for me until the end of year 2. And so, I can testify to that. Things do change. So take the time, be persistent, be diligent with what you're doing, and just trust the process as you go along. And there are some days you're going to second guess yourself, but you know what? I want you to know that this is a part of entrepreneurship. And that's why I'm talking about this part of it, because I think that people talk about the steps and the processes to build something, but they don't necessarily tell you the emotional part of it, and the all the other things that you have to deal with as a result of what you're doing. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of, so this is why you have to love what you're doing, because if you don't, you will give up on it easily, right? You will second guess yourself. You'll ask yourself, did I make the right decision? Maybe you should go back to your old job and do what you used to do before. Goodness, in my first year, that was a prevalent thought in my mind all around. And, I'm just so happy that the systems that I had in place around me, my support system, was there to help me not make that decision to go back to doing the 9-to-5 regular stuff on a daily basis. So here I am today. I'm feeling much better about the decision I made to start this business. And I see the growth in it. I see the growth in myself as an entrepreneur. And that's one of the things that you have to think about too, is that going through all of this, when you're not seeing the growth and you're feeling all of that, you're growing in the process. So don't discount all of that. It has different benefits, what, you know, those times that you're going through. But the most courageous thing that you can do is to keep going forward. Someone said this to me. One of my mentors said this to me on one of those days when I felt like stepping back and just dropping the whole thing and not going any further. One of the most courageous things that you can do is to keep going forward. So on those days when you feel like quitting, remember this quote. One of the most courageous things you can do is to keep going forward. You can't reach your destination if you're always looking behind you. If you're going forward, look forward. Get tunnel vision. Focus forward. Set your face like flint, looking neither to the right nor the left. Just focus forward and keep going forward. It's in those times you're building muscle, man. You're building your muscle to handle the big results that you're expecting down the road. So if you can't deal with the tiny little problems down here, how are you going to deal with the bigger problems when the company grows? So all of this is growth, and it's developing you for that big thing that you're going toward, right? So while you're on your way to profitability, some of the biggest pitfalls you will encounter are your emotions and your mental scripts, which is what I've been talking to you about, because I find that people don't talk about that enough to prepare people who are going to be stepping into the entrepreneurial space so that they know that they will have those to deal with. Your emotions and your mental scripts are probably going to be some of your biggest enemies in the process. And so you have to be aware of that, be cognizant of that. You know, it's a daily battle, and that's where I use my proven strategy to help people move through those hurdles. So when you come into my mentorship program, I have a strategy set up for you so that when you hit those roadblocks and you're feeling like giving up and all of that stuff, you're working through it. I'm working through it with you in the mentorship program. And you will have an opportunity to access one free session at the end of this presentation if you so choose. The final thing that you have to consider when evaluating the market is your exit strategy. It's very important to always have an exit strategy. Not that you're going to use it, but investors want to see that you have thought about this entire thing. Let's use the pandemic that we're in as an example. Many people had their business and no one was expecting a COVID pandemic to show up. And yet here it is. It has impacted many businesses negatively, and they've had to give up. So how do you let go of your business without losing everything? This is where an exit strategy comes in. And the simple answer to why would I need an exit strategy is you need to make a way to take the money out of the business before you close up shop, right? So if you're going to be selling your business, if you're closing the door, there's got to be some money in it that you can take away so that you're not walking away broke. Have you ever seen the big liquidation signs on the sides of some buildings as you're driving or walking by them? That's their exit strategy in progress, actually. They're closing up shop, and what they're doing, they're selling everything off at a cheaper price, and so that they're not walking away with all that inventory and stuff. They're putting the inventory to work for them and getting everything that they can out of the business, even if it means that they have to reduce their costs a little bit. So next time you see a liquidation sign, just know that somebody has activated their exit strategy, right? There are several different exit strategies that you can use, and I go over these in detail in the Entrepreneurship Training Program. So if you want to know what those are, then you can sign up for that program. Actually, we delve into the topics I've touched on in this presentation in more detail in the training program as well. So if you want more information, if you want to know how to go through more of this, sign up for my entrepreneurship training program, and you'll get all the answers that you're looking for. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the research tools. I've been talking to you about doing research and how to do the research, but what are some of the best tools for you to use in your research? All right. It's very simple. The top one, have you ever used Google at all and looked for something, just throwing some words in there and click the search icon? There you go. That's one of the first places you can start doing your research. Google has great information on there that you can find out about your product or your service. You can find out about your market, your marketing trends, your business trends, your demographic, all of that stuff you can look for in Google. Now, what is it? Google Trends and Think with Google are a couple tools that I stumbled upon while I was doing research for for a business idea, as a matter of fact. I didn't know they existed before. I thought it was just a straight up Google, but there are things called Google Trends and Think with Google. And Google Trends helps you to understand the current trends on certain topics in your market, right? And then Think with Google is your source for digital best practices for marketing. So one is helping you to understand the trends in marketing. One is going to help you with your marketing. So I think those are two great tools for you to try. I've tried them myself. They're not bad at all. And I don't use them often. I can't say that I use them every day, but I did use them. I did get some benefit from them. Another way to do research is by using surveys to get feedback. Have you ever used surveys? What is it? Survey Monkey. People sending, if you ever opened your email box and see people surveys in there, that's people doing market research. I touched on surveys briefly in an earlier slide, but one of the best ways to know how people view your product or services or what you're thinking about doing is with surveys. You can do this fairly easily and free of cost with, Survey Gizmo. That's another, I talked about Survey Monkey. Survey Gizmo is another survey tool. There are other ones out there, but these are two of the most popular ones. So I've actually used Survey Monkey on several occasions, and I find it very user-friendly, and the information that I was looking for, it was able to help me analyze the information and just spit it back to me without me having to do so much work on my own, right? You can also create a prototype. If you're putting out a product and you want people to buy into that, you can do a prototype of your product and do a test with it. The way some restaurants do taste testing, that's them testing a prototype. So that's one of the best examples that I can give you that everybody can relate with or relates to. That's research for them. They want to see if their customers like a new item that they're putting on their menu. So they're doing some prototype or product testing. I recently launched my leadership program with 3 out of 7 courses. So my entire leadership program, which is separate from my entrepreneurship program, my leadership program is 7 courses in total. And I launched in the summer past with 3 out of those 7 courses. That was my prototype or pilot project to see how the courses would be received and to get feedback from the audience. I used that feedback to tweak the courses and the program itself and to decide what to keep and what to change. I also use some of that feedback in my marketing when I'm marketing my courses to different audiences, right? So I myself put all of that to work. So I'm not teaching you anything that I haven't done myself and seen the results, the positive results for my own business. And lastly, sometimes you just have to take the risk and jump in, take the leap, which is the title of this presentation today. Take the leap. Sometimes you just have to jump into it. Just make it available, make the product or the service available and open for business, and then monitor the outcome from there, right? Don't get caught in what we used to call an analysis paralysis in the information technology world, because you overanalyze everything and then you never really get started on anything because you're always analyzing to see what's the best thing. You analyze yourself to death and you never get anything done. So don't get stuck. If all you have to do is to start, then jump in and start and evaluate as you go along. The important thing is to choose the right tools for you. Business strategies are not one size fits all. So you have to find the right mix of tools that will make your strategy work effectively. Get a coach or a mentor again. Here we go, coach or mentor. They are necessary. I'm telling you something. If I didn't have my own coach or mentor, I wouldn't be here where I am today. They hold me accountable to do what I'm supposed to do. And they also help me when I get stuck to move past where I am. They keep helping me to see beyond where I am, to push me forward. So coaches and mentors are valuable. They are beneficial, but make sure you find the one that is right for you. There are a gazillion of them out there, but you have to know the one that's right for you. Choose one that's in alignment with your own values and principles, okay? Otherwise, the relationship isn't going to work. Now, when you're building a business, you want to make sure that you have the right advice. So coach or mentor, talk to someone who has done it and done it well and are getting the results, right? Strategy development is one of the products I offer as a part of my coaching package. So if you need help developing your strategy, you can reach out to me if you think I'd be a good coach or mentor for you. And this is where I help you to locate yourself. Where are you now in the process of starting your business? Or if you've already started, where do you find yourself right this minute? Where are you now? Where are you standing on the map at this moment? And then you want to find, and then the next step is to find out where you want to be and then help you to create a business strategy to get you from point A to point B and beyond. All right. So I suggest that you take advantage of this, as it will help you to get there faster and, get further faster than trying to do everything on your own. It's easier to multiply it's easier to get results on a multiplication level than on an addition level. So you can do 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 to get to 10, or you can do 2 × 5, so it depends. What do you want to do? Do you want to get there get further faster, or do you want to take the slowpoke road? None of them is wrong. It's going to be your choice, and it's going to be how quickly you're looking for return in the process, right? One of the things I want you to know is this, and I want you to take note of what I'm going to say here. 72% of new businesses fail within the first 2 years because they're starting with, number one, a bad idea. They lack funding. They did poor market research, and their business strategy is ineffective. So this is what I'm saying to you. Find someone who has done it before and leverage their knowledge and their wisdom. And if you can't find someone on a personal level, engage a coach or a mentor. If you want to build a business that thrives and grows profitable over time, then I would encourage you to get into my coaching program today. Don't delay. Do it today, right now. Okay, let's get started. Let's talk about funding. Sorry, some key decision points. And before we get to the funding, I want to talk about funding. I wonder why I'm so excited about funding, but maybe I have some great information for you. But we're going to talk about some decision points first. What you see on this slide here are some of the key decision points that you're going to have to focus on while you're building your business. What type of business do you want to build? What problem is your product or service going to be solving? That's the important thing. Because if you're just building a business and you're not solving a problem, I'm telling you, you are failing coming straight out of the gate. The business, the product, the service is supposed to be solving a problem. So think about it. What type of business are you building, and what problem are you solving? And this is your big why. This is why I have it in red here. Why are you doing it? What's the purpose for you to even start this? What are you trying to accomplish here? What's the intention of this business, this product, this service that you're offering? That's important. Make note of it and write it in a different color like I have it on the slide. The big why. What's your big why for starting this? Your big intention. What's the intention behind it? Important to know. And while you're doing that, think about your goals and your objectives. Are they clear in your mind? Now, I've taken you from idea to business trending to market trends and evaluating your market, customers, threats, and SWOT analysis. I've taken you through all of that. Have you by now created some goals and objectives that you want to work toward? And are they clear ones? Because if they're not clear, that again is going to slow you down. So what you need, clarity. You need to be very clear about what you want to accomplish in your vision. And first, before you even make goals or objectives, you have to have that overarching vision. What is the vision of this business that you are creating, right? Do I have the right strategy and can I execute it? This is something that you want to know. Do I have the right strategy and can I execute it? What risks am I willing to take? Now, there are some people who are big risk takers. There are some people who are at the medium level, and then there are some who are totally risk averse. You have to determine where you are on that spectrum as you go into this business. How much risk are you willing to take? Because you're going to have to take some. So your risk threshold will determine how fast you move forward or how slowly you move forward. Okay. What sacrifices are you willing to make? What are the trade-offs that you're willing to make? Are you willing to trade off financial security for long-term gain? Or are you willing to trade off moving away to a different location if it requires you to go to a different location? What are you willing to trade off to accomplish your goal? Do you have enough resources? That's financing, that's support, in terms of people around you. Do you have equipment? Think about everything that you think you will need for this business. Do you have enough to get started? Do you have the right relationships? That's important. What is your network like? What networks are you associated with? What groups are you connected to? Are you a part of any associations? These are important. And we cover those when I do a whole vision planning session in my coaching program. And we cover these off and to help you figure out the best relationships that you should think about getting into. All right. I can't tell you which ones to choose, but I can definitely tell you how to choose them. And finally, how will you fund that business? Here we are, funding, because I was getting ahead of myself before, so we are here at funding. These are some of the different ways you can fund your new business. GoFundMe, right? You just go on the GoFundMe site, set something up, put a fantastic description there, and email it out to your friends and your network and say, this is what I'm doing. I'm starting a business. I need some help. Fund me, please. There is also Kickstarter. Kickstarter is very similar to GoFundMe. It's just kickstarting a project and you're asking for some money to help you to kickstart it. I mentioned this before. Personal financing or bootstrapping is when you're using your own money or money that you get from your family or close friends to start it without any other external interference, right? Bootstrapping. I know very well bootstrapping. I actually started my business with bootstrapping and then grew from there. And so you got love investors, which are, people who love you. They know you well, and they believe in you and they believe in your idea. And so they will put some money in it for you. Venture capitalists, Shark Tank, those guys, that's venture capitalists. Angel investors, very similar to venture capitalists. And you can take small business loans and grants, and you can also work with business incubators, right? So those are some of the ways that you can get funding for your business. So knowing your source or sources of funding is very important for the successful setup of your business. I can't stress that enough. Businesses require substantial amounts of money to get them going in the initial stages. Otherwise, your efforts could be frustrated if funding is not properly thought out. You could find yourself at a place where, okay, I need to do this, but I have no funding. What do I do next? Always sit down, always count the cost before you start to build a house, right? So you'll know what you need to build a house. I talk about funding your business at great length in my entrepreneurship book. And I have made that available on my website for free. The title of the book is Entrepreneur, Putting Theory into Practice Every Day. A lot of this, you've heard it before, but now we're talking about putting it into practice. We're not just theorizing anymore. We're going to actually apply to your idea or your opportunity and take it forward. So that's the book. If you go to www.carlenemillwood.com, right there on the front page, you will see it and you can click on it and download it, get some fantastic information out of it to supplement what I taught you here today. Okay, so make sure you go there, click it, and download it for your benefit. I'm also offering a free 15-minute consultation to anyone who wants to come and throw your idea at me for a minute. And let's see if we can sort something out for you, but it's only 15 minutes. If you want to talk to me longer than that, then book yourself in the program, in the coaching program, and I will take you from A to Z. All right. So you can book your consultation with me by going to www.carlenemillwood.com services, then click on coaching and mentoring, click on my calendar, select a date, and select your consultation plan. All righty. So that's all I have for you today. I think, I think some of the information is, well, I think all of the information is fantastic, and you can actually take some of it right now and start putting it to use, to practice today. And again, if you need a coach or a mentor, connect with me, go on the website, like I said before, and just book that time with me. And this is the way that you can keep in touch with me. I actually prefer to receive emails. So if you can, send me an email. Is my email address up there anywhere? Or connect with me on all of my social media platforms. And you can also send me messages through my websites, okay? So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you gained something from this, and I hope that it will help you to put your idea forward and help you to make some progress from where you are today. But remember, your only option is not to procrastinate or sit still. Take the leap, go for it. Let's go. I'm here for you. Give me a call. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.